Toto Wolff is in a love-hate relationship with Lewis Hamilton right now. He loves giving him hell, but he hates that he is leaving. And in the wake of intense sabotage accusations against him, Toto has finally admitted to one thing. His heart is still breaking from the reality of Sir Lewis's move to Ferrari. That and George Russell's response to critics in today's video, so don't go anywhere. Toto Wolff says that Lewis Hamilton's departure from Mercedes has been difficult. Hamilton informed Wolff, who's also part owner of the Mercedes team, earlier this season, that it would mark the end of their partnership before he moves to Ferrari in 2025. This weekend's F1 British Grand Prix will mark Hamilton's final race, driving for Mercedes at Silverstone. Wolff shared with Sky Sports' Martin Brundle in a recent interview about a specific aspect of Hamilton's departure that has been hurting him the most. He said, "What was bruising was that I didn't have any time to react. I said, okay, how are we announcing this? It was clear that it was leaking from Ferrari. If I put myself in his shoes, he's in the last phase of his career, the team wasn't doing well. Everybody wants to wear a red overall with a yellow prancing horse. Probably the financial terms were also positive. So I can get my head around why he is doing that. I have peace with him. Our relationship goes much deeper. 12 years we have been friends and allies and brothers in crime. He will be a competitor in the car, but we haven't divorced as friends. I didn't have enough time to call our sponsors and shareholders to explain what is happening." Wolff was questioned about whether Hamilton's demeanour has been affected this season, knowing it's his final one representing Mercedes. "This year was really good, always constructive," Wolff answered. "There were moments where he wasn't happy, but no different to the past 2 years." Despite Hamilton's impending departure, Wolff holds him in high regard and wishes him the best for his time with Ferrari, albeit always with Mercedes at the forefront. Toto said, "I'd much rather us winning. This is what we can influence. I only wish him the best, but behind us." Toto Wolff also set the record straight on rumours of favouritism toward George Russell within the Mercedes team, questioning why Mercedes would penalise Lewis Hamilton when they are focused on scoring points. Wolff expressed bewilderment at the suggestion that Mercedes would sabotage Hamilton in any way, saying, "Why would you favour the driver that stays? For what reason? We want to win a Constructors' Championship. We want to finish on a high with Lewis. We want to celebrate these 12 years, the longest ever relationship between driver and team." When a driver had had a bad race, the strategy has worked against him. The tyre choice was not great. There will always be that emotional part of, "You guys screwed me over here." That is completely normal. That's the first reaction when you get out of the car. And as for who will be taking the 7-time world champion's place, Toto still has his heart set on Max Verstappen. He has once again claimed that Mercedes could be an appealing Formula One option for the Dutchman, even though he doesn't think it will happen next year. Wolff has publicly expressed his interest in bringing Verstappen to Mercedes as a long-term replacement for Ferrari-bound Lewis Hamilton. Yet, despite Mercedes CEO Ola Källenius intensifying their pursuit last week, Verstappen confirmed during the Austrian Grand Prix that he will stay with Red Bull next season. Wolff is hopeful about the tightening competition at the front of the grid as Formula One prepares for new technical regulations in 2026, covering aero, chassis, and engines. He sees Mercedes becoming an appealing destination for drivers like Verstappen once these changes take effect. He shared his thoughts with Sky Sports F1, saying, "Would Max Verstappen consider joining Mercedes in 2025? No, there is no reason. Why would he? The Red Bull car is ultra-dominant. Maybe he's going to win every race, and a driver will always seek that kind of machine." That has changed over the last few weeks and months. There are 3 teams that were competing against each other. Hopefully, we can demonstrate that we are part of this group now too. So maybe there's a window, but 2026 is our main year where lots of things change, and I think it could be quite attractive to drive with us. But whether it's Max and whether he can get out of his contract, I don't know. Wolff has admitted uncertainty regarding reports linking Verstappen's future at Red Bull to advisor Helmut Marko, acknowledging he's unsure about the specifics. The Austrian has stated his commitment to positioning Mercedes competitively enough to attract top-tier drivers. I think, in any case, if a driver doesn't want to stay somewhere, it's very difficult to keep a driver, but I'm not relying on that. I think most important is to look at ourselves. Quick cars are always going to attract the attention of a quick driver, so that's our main priority. All of these driver movements here is not the end of the story. George Russell faces one of the toughest challenges in F1, going up against his 7-time world champion teammate Lewis Hamilton. Despite this, Russell has been dominant this season, particularly in qualifying. With Hamilton's recent struggles, analyst Ted Kravitz questioned Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff about it, and Wolff provided a clear response. He said, Hamilton has a bad spell, and as a racing driver it can be mind-crushing if you feel that you're not able to deliver your best performances. Russell clinched a victory earlier this year at Austria, while Hamilton has yet to come close to winning any races. Despite this, Wolff remains optimistic that the 39-year-old will secure a spot on the podium in 2024. During the Austria race, Russell was in a favourable position after Lando Norris and Max Verstappen collided. Starting from third place, the King's Lynn-born driver capitalised on the incident by passing both drivers and cruising to victory. Hamilton, on the other hand, had a challenging race. He was in sixth place when Norris and Verstappen collided, and despite his efforts, he could only manage fourth place by the end. It's worth noting that his W15 sustained damage after a collision with Carlos Sainz. Hamilton himself considered his performance unacceptable. And although Toto showed support for him, he was harder on himself, saying, "Pretty shocking, but really happy for the team. Been pretty slow all weekend. It's not for the lack of trying, but I'm just generally slow and it's just not acceptable." George Russell has responded to critics who suggest he makes too many mistakes by explaining his approach. He can either drive conservatively, staying 1/10 off the pace to ensure a safe finish, or he can push to the limit. Russell opts for the latter, especially when Mercedes is focused on pursuing victories rather than championship titles. Despite George Russell's victory at the Austrian Grand Prix, where he benefited from Max Verstappen and Lando Norris crashing, the British driver still encountered criticism. Brazilian journalist Juliane Serra-Soli shared on the F1 Nation podcast that she believes Toto Wolff's radio message when Russell took the lead stemmed from concerns within the Mercedes team that he tends to push too hard. "I do feel Mercedes feels. George sometimes he changes a little bit and he gets a bit overly aggressive, or he starts making mistakes when he feels he's got a chance to win," she said. Russell is puzzled by the criticism, considering himself a two-time F1 Grand Prix winner, who believes that mistakes come from pushing the limits, which is precisely what he's doing to propel Mercedes back to the forefront of the F1 field. He shared his thoughts with motorsport.com, saying, "I have no need to respond to those people because I'm focused on my own job. I could drive 1/10 off the pace for 70 laps in a row and I wouldn't make a single mistake. In 2022, I didn't make a single mistake in the whole season, but I wasn't pushing myself the way I'm pushing myself now. And the way I'm pushing myself now has allowed me to outqualify my teammate 8 times out of 9 races this season, 9-2 after Austria, and allow me to be ahead of him in most of these races. I could drive 1/10 off the pace, not make a single mistake, and still finish third in Canada, and it looks like a flawless race from the outside, but knowing within I had a 10th on the table, I'd be kicking myself for not pushing myself to the limit. So, yeah, mistakes happen, it's life. We've all been through times where these mistakes happen, but they happen as I'm pushing myself above and beyond, and I think I'm in that position as I'm driving better than ever." Russell added that he has more ambition now that he is older and more experienced. "That's the mentality I'm in at the moment. To be honest, I don't enjoy driving like that, as I'd rather be more consistent like I was in 2022, but 6 years in F1, I don't take the satisfaction from consistently finishing just in the top 5. In 2022, I finished in the top 5 more than any single driver on the grid, but I'd prefer finishing P6 every race and having 2 victories rather than finishing P5, P4, P3 every race and not get the race victory." Do you feel sorry for Toto Wolff? Tell us why or why not in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.